Hi, this is Mary from TheHarboring Light. I simply give a conservative perspective about the world around me. As I like to do in the beginning of the podcast, tell you about the audio platforms I'm on. So let me start out saying about that. So I am on iHeartRadio. I'm on Audible. I'm on Amazon Music. And I am on Spotify for podcasters. I'm on Overcast. I'm on Pandora. And I'm looking to grow to wherever you get your audio content, you stream your audio content for podcasts, I'm on there. And also, I will include my social media links in this podcast. So let's get into this. We are talking about 90s rock males. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm going to do a series on this. So keep a lookout for that. So I'm going to start out with two of them in this particular podcast and go from there. So I'm talking about Tool and Pantera in this particular podcast. And this, which will be included in the link, is from the top 10 list. And they have collected a list of the most influential male rock artists in the 90s of the time. So let's talk about it. Now, Tool, they have produced just 4 albums and 1 EP, all of them platinum certified. 2 of them number 1, one a number 2 over a 15-year time span, and nothing since 2006. Nevertheless, the group remains active despite a myriad of side projects and commercial force to be reckoned with. Their influence limited only by the difficulty experienced by other bands who would try and duplicate Tool's unique sound. Now, let's talk about socially what's going on with them. And this is an article according to loudwire.com. Now, while on stage at the Welcome to Rockville Festival in Florida, a move viewed by many as a statement against Florida's anti-drag legislation, but according to the singer, the decision to don prosthetic breasts and exaggerated lipstick, essentially going drag while performing, was an artistic one rather than a political statement. While speaking with The Messenger, Keenan explained, "I've been cross-dressing since long before these clickbait junkies were out of their diapers. It's pretty crazy, the technology and the prosthetics nowadays, how they've come a long way. And I just was considering the look." This is what it's saying. And that's really all there is to it. I'm not a political fella. Had nothing to do with Florida. Then he also added, "It's amazing to me how every single thing you say or do is twisted and conformed into some fundamentalist far right or far left agenda." As the conversation went on, as they're writing about this, it says this. It says, had turned to the drag show legislation. And then it says, Keenan did weigh on the topic of this, explaining, "I think limiting people's access to anything is absurd." He's saying this also. He said, "Good parenting allows you to teach your kids how to be reasonable and reason and puzzle things out for themselves." Of course, I'm paraphrasing this. Now, let's move on to Pantera. And this is according to Jason Birchmeyer, I believe how you pronounce his name, of AllMusic. The metal band of the early to mid 90s, Pantera, put to rest any and all remnants of the 80s metal scene, almost single-handedly demolishing any notion that hair metal, speed metal, speed metal, power metal, etc., were anything but passé. They are Texas native and had in fact been one of those 80s metal bands, releasing fairly unsuccessful until the 90s hit. Major labels, and their major label debut, Cowboys from Hell in 1990, helped them to become more mainstream. Pantera's mainstream breakthrough came next with the Vogel Display of Power, 1992. Their second major label album, which thrust the band to what we know them as today. And so because of this, they were up with such legends as Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax, and also including with that, White Zombie, people of that nature. Now, by the time 1994 hit, they, with the release of Beyond Driven, a 2-year tour went on. And and also to add on to that, they soared up they just blew up the charts, so to speak, with the single "I'm Broken." Now, unfortunately, sad to say, the end of Pantera came on December 8th, 2004. This was when guitarist Dimebag Darrell was tragically murdered on stage by a deranged fan. This much publicized murder shined the light back on Pantera for an extended moment and aimed all of the emotions and all of the outpours and tributes and everything arose from that. So in retrospect to this, they said that there was no greater metal band during the early to mid 90s than Pantera. Now this is the reason why, because they inspired a legion of rabid fans and who's grown off, and it just spurred off into groove metal band styles. It spurred off into trends from the day you see as rap metal stuff and new metal stuff, and then making a wave and redefining grunge, and then even redefining what it means to be a hair metal band. Now let's talk about what they're up to as far as now, and then the social aspects of that. Now, this past March, Pantera headlined the 2023 comeback edition of Japan's Loud Park Festival. The 2-day limited event took place on March 25th at the INEX in Osaka, and March 26th at the Makuhari Messe and Chiba City near Tokyo. Now, members of Pantera, they chimed in on the criticism about not saying, this is a tribute band, just simply going on with the band and just saying Pantera. And so the drummer that's now with Pantera, Charlie. This is what he had to say as far as the ins and outs of that. So he was saying that they don't. It's all about the fans. They're trying to. It was never a thing where we're trying to be a tribute band. We're trying to do this, that, and the other. They just want to bring back that importance and understanding of Pantera, and they just want to go on and continue this legacy. Now, he also chimed in on the article to this will be, of course, linked in this podcast. Now, he also went to chime in on people who talk about what people say on social media about this, and people showing him things about what is said about the band and everything along the lines of that on social media. Just simply saying that he doesn't look at social media. He doesn't try to wrap himself around negative comments or negative things that has to do with them and what they want to do with Pantera and continuing this legacy. And he feels that it's just not relevant, and it's not really important and it's not really healthy as far as not being relevant to focus yourself in on negative energy like that. And I think that's very important to highlight my perspectives and my point of view about what Tool is saying, the frontman from Tool, and then what he is saying from Pantera, the drummers from Pantera is saying, excuse me. It also highlights on why I am focusing my energy on talking about music and talking about the culture of music. Because, again, as I mentioned in previous podcasts, music, whether you like it or not, or whether you're a fan of this, that, and the other, music has a way of bonding us in very real means. And it has a voice that can unite us and divide us in ways that's undeniable. And when you, as the frontman from Tool and the drummers from Pantera, when you are granted the opportunity to be a part of music or to do things that you're really passionate about, it's an important premise to explain and define who you are and what you mean by this. And I think music, the people who are really passionate about music and the means of trying to convey their own ideas about the world around them, and in a moral way or an immoral way, it sheds light on us as humans and how we can surface our way through the world around us. And I particularly from a political point of view, I lean more towards Republican views, but I'm more of a person that's a middle ground. I'm more of a person that sees that policies, either Democratic or Republican, policies that help humanity is what I'm for, and what I want to understand and want to make sure I'm conscious of that when I'm listening to different politicians or wanting to be supportive of different politicians. And the fact that the frontman from Tool brought that to light, that, even though it seemed on surface he was doing a political move, he wasn't. He was just, simply expressing himself. And that happens a lot of time, whether that is crafted or whether it just happens organically. The means of politics, as far as social politics or what have you, mixes itself into music. And the musicians who are really conscious of that and who are just savvy about that, and they want to do things to be honest about their a certain political point of view or their social point of views or whatever kind of point of views that they have, is really admirable when the ones that have a moral ground, they say, what they mean, and they don't try to pander to anybody. They just say what they see as fit and how they perceive things. And it's very helpful to, again, unite people and for people to have a better understanding of things and to have a better appreciation of culture and art and everything. And I, think it is very important to look to that and to understand that we as a nation, I think we move forward with culture and art, and to try to suppress that or just muddy it up with things that are either egotistical or things that are just negative or things that are not in the best interest. It's very harmful because it strikes down the growth for humanity. And I can't stress enough, I think music has a very unique way of doing it because, at the essence, music is very primitive and it can speak to people in a deeper way that politics sometimes cannot, and that other means sometimes cannot. Whether it be education or, whether it be cinema or things of that nature. It's a lot of debate about that, but music can help bring a lot of issues together and people to understand and listen to it, and sometimes not listen to it, whichever way it coins. But at the heart of it, I think that music can really unite these particular issues together. So that wraps it up for The Harboring Light for this particular podcast. I hope you were able to have some, retrospective about that and insight about what I'm saying. And also feel free to email me about different comments you have or, things you would like to hear. I'm more than willing and welcome that. And I appreciate all of you listening, and thank you so much. So, as I mentioned earlier, this is a part of a series, so look out for the other series, including with this. So, this was The Harboring Light. I'm Mary. So, next time, tune up and take care.